Hi, and welcome to the We Hack Purple podcast, where each week we introduce you to a different and new guest who's a member of the information security industry. So I'm the host, I'm Tanya, Janca, and when I joined information security, I found it really hard to figure out which job I wanted and what the options were and how to get training and what training did I need, what job experience did I need, what job was right for me. I ended up becoming a pen tester because that's what my professional mentor was and that's what I thought I wanted. And then it actually took me over a year or two to figure out, you know what, this isn't what I want. I actually really want to work in application security. And then it turns out I love it. And so we at We Hack Purple started this podcast to try to help people figure out where they fit. And so we are inviting all sorts of different amazing people, including today, we have Ashish Rajan. And I want to tell you just before I reveal him to you, because it's really exciting when I reveal the guest, this episode is sponsored by ThreadFix, which is also partnered with Denim Group, and I want to thank them for being our podcast sponsor. They are our sponsor mostly for the rest of the year, and I really appreciate it. But now what you have been waiting for 20 minutes because we started late, Ashish Rajan. So Rajan.
I'm just saying, I've shared the updated link on YouTube for your folks on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So it's just a new link, so they'll get there eventually.
Yes, thank you. So the tables have turned. I have been on your podcast so many times, and now you will be on mine.
I know. Like, I feel like I should do the Simpsons where I just slowly go back and just like cartwheel myself out of the picture. I know, that's exactly right. Like, maybe I should be nervous, but she's a friend as well, so she'll be nice.
She will, but she has to tease you a little bit. Do you remember the image of you, me, and Terry showing our muscles? So I'm now showing that to the audience. This is from AppSec Day in Australia last October, so almost exactly a year ago when I met Ashish in person for the first time. And you can see that obviously Terry and I have really big muscles, but it's nothing versus Ashish's muscles. Okay, I'll stop teasing you and stop showing that photo.
And the crowd goes wild again. It's like, don't take the other picture.
That's such a good photo. I have it on my wall. I really love that photo. It's so funny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. It came out really well. Thank you.
It did. So, I have some interview questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
None of them will involve math equations, I promise.
I'm going to disappoint all my brown folks if I don't have any math. Sure.
There's no math.
Although it'll be really embarrassing. It's like there's no maths. How can I be an Indian guy with no math questions? They're basically how all the brown people on your podcast have just dropped off. They're like, that's it, no math. Not interested in this.
No, please stay.
Don't worry, guys. I scored. I'm really good with geometry, I think.
I'm really good at math. I loved calculus. Really.
Oh, there you go. Wow, Tanya, you are multi-skilled and clearly super smart.
Okay, so I have a bunch of questions and they're all pretty much easy since they're about you. You will know the answers.
Hopefully, yes.
But it's like a conversation, so feel free if something makes sense to just add it in, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the first question is, what is your name? And if you have a handle online, what is it?
Sure. My name is Ashish Rajan. It's the same as Hashish without the H. And my online handle, that's why, is Ashish Rajan.
With the H.
With the H, though. Yes, that's right.
I was surprised when I was looking you up. I'm like, why are there so many people named Ashish that aren't the one that's my friend? I'm just like, too many Twitter handles. All of you, go away. You are not the one I'm looking for.
This was the only way I found out I could stand out because no one else could link that Hashish joke. I'm like, but it's so obvious. Why don't all of you get this? So that's why I started taking over all the Hashish names out there. But then I had to be careful because that also meant that when people do hashtag Hashish, the kind of images that are coming are very different. That's why I had to go on my live streams these days. I'm going live with hashish instead of hashtag hashish. So I'm like, because if someone thought it'd be a creative idea to go hashtag hashish on Instagram and LinkedIn, right? But yeah, I had to change that on LinkedIn. So now I'm hashtag live with hashish on LinkedIn, just to be easy and not provocative.
Hashtags are really important. When I started the Mentoring Monday hashtag, I felt like that was too many letters. So I just did the hashtag MM. And well, let's just say, no, that was a very different topic that was being
Not for office, I guess.
Apparently it is pictures of very nice derrieres. So yeah, it is picture.
So you and I have had our own shares of this. Perfect.
Yeah,
You know
I'm
exactly
like,
what I
that
felt.
is
And I was
not
like,
meant.
why are so many people destroying this?
That is not Mentoring Monday. I'm so sorry. I didn't. Anyway, okay, so the point of this story is always check what the hashtag is before you use it.
Yeah, because you might think you're being super creative, but suddenly you find out there are all these other people who were equally creative.
Yes, and so we've already learned one important lesson today from Ashish.
That's right. Check your hashtag on the internet. That's the number one thing to take
Number
away
one
from the
thing.
podcast.
Okay, so the next question is, what is your job title and describe your job? And I feel like you have two jobs. You have like your day job and then you have your podcast job. So do you want to tell us about one and then the other?
Yeah, sure. So my 9 to 5 is I am a head of security and compliance for a company called PageUp. We are a recruitment software company, it's a SaaS company, it's a global tech company. So my 9 to 5 is usually, I guess, that's what I spend doing. Outside my 9 to 5, I run a podcast called Cloud Security Podcast, and it's kind of like the same format as what you have. It's a live stream every Sunday, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, based out of Australia, so Australian Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, you guys can catch it every week. We talk about cloud security because that's something that I'm passionate about, and that's something that I've kind of found that I've been able to kind of share that knowledge with the wider community, because I've always felt that cybersecurity has a very gated approach, and I always felt like, why is it? Because I never met any people. Like, when I met you as well, you and I were so open about what we know, what we don't know. But for some reason on Twitter and everywhere else, people feel that that's not really true. So that's why I thought I'll start my podcast absolutely free for anyone who wants to consume. And every cloud security knowledge out there I can provide to people. That's kind of like the goal, to create a whole cloud security community and bring them value. That's my outside, I guess. That's what I'm doing in the midnight, I guess.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. And head of security sounds really good.
Yeah,
Head of security
shucks.
and compliance. Boom.
And I was like, I've got the crown picture right here just for that. Like, that's my, if one day when I get my house, this is going to be the picture on the wall art. My wife's already agreed to it, but just waiting for that day if I can have that space.
Do you feel like you should add the COVID beard to the picture?
I think I should. Yeah, hopefully COVID goes away by then. I can get rid of this and I can actually go to a barbershop, considering we're in curfew mode, because barbershops are not open as well. And in Melbourne, we have a curfew where we can't go outside the house between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. and no barbers are open. So yeah, that makes things a bit challenging, I guess. But I'm hoping by the time I get my house, and that picture would actually be me as well. Or I would have to make another one, I guess. Or maybe have one more on this side of it as well.
I have the same problem. I mean, my bangs they're
you
just
have
like,
to fringe.
they're out of hand. That's why I started sweeping it to the side, because I'm like, I can't see anymore.
Don't let me pull my hair down as well. Although my wife has been really nice, and let's say our marriage depended on the haircut she gave me.
I think your hair looks great. I was actually joking with my friend. I'm like, I have to let you go. I have to do my hair because my guest has really great hair.
No, thank you. That's all kudos to my wife, though. She definitely did a great job of giving me a decent haircut. If you would have seen me 2 weeks ago, yeah, I definitely looked like a bushman, for lack of a better word.
There are a lot of people that look like that, and it's not just you. Don't feel bad.
Oh, thank you, though. But I have a reputation to maintain. When the crowd goes wild, they don't go wild for a bushman. They're
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh my
more like
God, the
it's
Bushman's here.
screaming, but it's like screaming and running away. It's different. It's not the
Oh
same
yeah,
type of.
it's a different kind of wild. Yeah, it's a yeah, that's true. It's the other kind of wild that people are going, not the kind you want.
Okay, so I have a question.
Hmm.
What is a day in the life like to be the head of security and compliance? Like, do you do you walk around slapping people's hands with sticks? Please say no.
Well, I wish that was a job, but thanks to COVID, that's been avoided. But I'm just kidding. As the head of security, I feel like my most of my days are usually planned for the week. Um, and I think I know we'll probably talk about some of the skills that's required as well. But I plan for the week usually because it's kind of like a varied thing where um, it can be a mix of talking to a product team, or it could be talking about incident response, or it could be talking about conversations with the application security kind of a conversation as well. And sometimes it's just risk conversations with execs, just to explain them why something is a low or a high risk. I feel like I kind of work better if I plan for it on a Monday, or actually usually turns out to be Sunday night after the podcast is over. But yeah, that's kind of like I plan for it on Monday, and a day may vary anywhere between talking to the platform team or the product team about security, or an ad hoc request because somewhere out on the internet has decided to send me a request saying, I think I found a bug. Like, so responding to those, or to talk about risk. Anyway, that's kind of like the mix, but I think it's a great role where I get to do so many things based on the experience that I've gathered over the years.
Do you do you feel that when you're explaining the risk to people that they understand, or do you have to use a bunch of different ways to explain it, or do you have like sock puppets that you? Just kidding.
Oh, I wish I had those. I have kind of used I found one of my skills has been the fact that I've been able to kind of explain security in a very layman way. Like, for example, when I talk about security and why people should care about security, I talk about the level of maturity that internet has. Like, I think I did a presentation yesterday internally about online safety for everyone, which is different to ours. We have a security awareness training as well, but it was different to that. But the goal behind that was the fact that when you go on the roads, there's a signboard for this is your speed limit. You should slow down. It's a school zone, slow down. There's nothing like that on the internet. Nothing goes on the internet and tells you, oh, Tanya, by the way, the website you're going on, there's a virus on it, so you should not go there. Like Google tries to do a great job at it by having that small, the site has been hacked, but it doesn't really, like it's not proactively looking out for you. Whereas I feel like we haven't matured in that context. So I tend to, when I talk about risk, I tend to use that as an example where if I can relate it to something that they see every day, like I consider security guardrails as airbags for my car. Like I know I'll never use them, but if they're there, then I know I'll be safe.
I love that. I love that, especially because everyone understands cars. I actually often say that security headers, they're like seatbelts. It's just like a
Oh,
habit. It's like 5 seconds. It's totally not sexy. But when an emergency happens, they can actually protect you against a whole bunch of things or reduce the harm of so many different types of attacks. It's like one line of code usually, unless it's CSP, which is like very hard and complex, but
yes.
still
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so as well. And I think one of the jobs as security folks is probably that you should be able to explain something to anyone. Like otherwise, if we would just talk like, for lack of a better word, talk nerdy all day, we would not be making many friends apart from more nerdy friends, and probably it'll be a really small cult group that we'll have. But we want this to be a wider thing because it's everyone's safety on the line, not just ours.
That is I love that. It's everyone's safety on the line, not just ours. I feel like t-shirts should be made.
Yeah, we should totally have the t-shirts out someday. Actually, maybe we should probably copyright it before someone else makes a t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, we're actually, the We Hack Purple company is like making a swag store. And so we're actually planning to make
Oh,
t-shirts and
nice.
mugs and stuff. So we've been like thinking about all the different slogans we could have.
Oh, nice.
Like, we'll
All right.
hack for coffee on a coffee mug.
Oh, actually, that's a good one. Well, just got another contribution for your swag store as well, which is perfect.
Speaking of awesome swag, this is not a great segue, but I'm trying. I wrote a book. Did you know that?
Oh, I wonder what's the book called.
It's called Alice and Bob Learn Application Security. And
Oh, it could be Alice and Bob. Or it's the other way around, Alice and Bob. I was gonna say Alice and Bob. It's like Alice and Bob.
I feel like I should be Alice and you should be Bob. However,
Yeah.
Bob's a white guy and Alice is a nice looking brown lady. So I feel like we've got all the bases
Oh.
covered between the two of us.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have that covered for sure. Yes. We may have switched the gender for this context, but we definitely have the bases covered.
Yes. Well, basically, both of us know lots of AppSec, and so that is the main
Yes.
base that the book covers. And
Yep. And
my publisher told me, they're like, listen, you've sold like 74 books, and your book comes out at the end of October. And the record that we have set for pre-sales for a technical book is 300 books. And so I'm
whoa,
extremely competitive.
I have no doubt about it.
So anyone listening to this, you just look up Alice and Bob Learn Application Security and check it out. And I'm very biased, but if you want to learn how to make secure software, I believe it is a fantastic
I may
book.
be a bit biased as well, but she's a really good friend and she talks security. So you would definitely learn quite a bit. Just saying it out loud right now. Go buy it. I'm actually on Amazon right now. I think I might have bought it. Sorry. So it's a hint that it's on Amazon as well if you guys want to go there.
Yes, someone just added buy one for yourself and for your friends. Yes, I agree absolutely with Ahmed. He is the best. Listen to him. But
Yes.
now, but
100%.
now back to like actual questions about you. Um, so being the head of security, there's a lot of different types of personality traits and aptitudes that someone might need. And I'm wondering what types of aptitudes and or personality traits that someone might need to be good to be the head of security and compliance.
Sure. I'll probably start with something that's probably not taught in uni much, and I had kind of had to pick it up as I went along. It's more soft skills, right? Really, to be honest, I always felt that when I started my career, I always felt like, oh, I need to be the best programmer, the best pen tester, the best sysadmin. But I kind of realized slowly that all that kind of withers away after a while because there's always the next thing. Like you would be a PHP expert, but right now only Facebook wants you, I guess. No one else wants you. But that is if they still use it. Like no, things like that. And I still know for sure that empathy is probably one skill that I would definitely recommend people look into. And I don't mean empathy in the fluffy sense, more in the context that you should be able to work with people in other parts of the company. You should be able to understand what the goal of your company is. So you have some business context, but at the same time, empathize with that. Oh, this is probably not the right time for me to bring in this conversation about the super important security project that I think is important when the company doesn't. I think that's for me is probably the more important skill. And then you can add a few layers of compliance knowledge as well as some technical knowledge about the cloud and other things in there as well. But I think I definitely feel empathy is probably the biggest one because you can work effectively with other team members as well.
So that's the best answer. I feel like almost everyone every week says that, but not in a way where I'm like, oh, that's a bad answer. It's because it's just so true.
Yeah, yeah. And you're not even taught this as well, right? You kind of have to like pick this up as you go on the job. And I don't know why people don't like write it down somewhere. Number one skill for any job in security because you have to work with other people, even if you're a pen tester, because you start to explain to someone why something is important in a layman term. You need to be able to empathize as to when they come back at you and say, no, this is not a problem. I should worry about. It's a low risk. It's not a high risk, as you mentioned. You need to be like, no, this is a high risk. You can't like stand your ground there. You kind of need to take a moment and go, okay, explain to me why it's low risk. Let's just talk about it and empathize from that. Put yourself in their shoes.
Well, and sometimes, for instance, you have to, like, if you chain a whole bunch of low vulnerabilities together, they become a critical vulnerability, or if you're revealing a whole bunch of different information, suddenly it becomes sensitive information because it's a combination of things. And
Yep.
do you feel, since you're the head of security, do you feel that leadership skills are required?
I definitely feel leadership skills are required, but I've always looked at leadership as more of I'm serving the team, so I look at leadership very differently. I feel, and I know there's a lot of definition in the industry about what leadership is and what management is, but for me, I think it's all about it's about working together as a team. So most of my conversations, leadership, yes, 100%, but probably the definition of leadership for me is more being their friend and understanding where they're coming from, rather than I'm going to be leading the example of I don't know, insert really awesome task over here, I guess. That's good. Couldn't think of an example, but I think 100% so empathy, leadership, but leadership in the context of insert awesome job here.
No, I think I really loved how you said like that you kind of serve your team, because I kind of feel that way too. Like I'm always like, I don't want to be a bottleneck. Like I'm here to enable you to get your job done, and if I'm not responding when you need me, then I'm sucking at my job.
Yep. And sorry, I was just going to quickly add, because you may ask them to do a job, but if they're not comfortable to do the job, then kind of goes back to the empathy as well. You need to be able to say that, oh, I enjoy pen testing, but you want me to do what again? You want me to do compliance? Like, maybe not, because you want to retain your team as well, right? And not just go, this is what I want you to do, so this is what the direction of the company is, and not understanding. I feel like that's kind of where, you're 100% on the money there. Leadership is a lot more complex, where you're just serving the people. It's not about being in charge, it's all about being serving. So the higher you go, the more people you have to serve, I feel.
Oh wait, I'm muted. Yes. No, I really, really agree with you quite a bit, actually. I love it when my guests say the thing I'm hoping that they'll say. So we actually have a question in the chat. Do you mind doing a live question? Is that cool?
Yeah, no problem, yeah.
Okay, so, so first of all, there's a quote from Gandhi, which I really like. There go my people, I am their leader, so I must follow them. I think that's really beautiful.
Yes, and it has to be a brown guy as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So
sorry, I can say that. Sorry, I probably should have clarified. I can say that because being a brown guy, as in I meant Mahatma Gandhi's brown guy as well.
Okay, so we have a question from David O'Brien. So how does the head of security make development and operation teams care about security? That's a great question.
That is, and he's a good friend as well, David. Hi, David, by the way. I think the way, at least it's different from all different organizations, the way at least it works for me currently has been getting involved in conversations where initially it was because I feel it's a bit about knowing the person who's leading the team and getting their buy-in on how much do they know about security, or do they care about security. And it's been a really interesting conversation where all developers want to write good code. No one wants to be known as the person who wrote really shitty code. I don't know if I can say shit, but yeah, people can.
You can.
I guess I've already said it, yes.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late already. It's already, the cans, or as they say in Texas, the horses are out of the barn already, I guess. I don't know where I got that from, but someone from Texas told me that. But the one thing that I feel is in their all developers want to write good code because they know when it displayed in front of another senior developer, they don't want it to be like, oh my God, you missed this, you missed that, you missed this. So if I get an understanding from a senior developer or I guess their team leader that they have that mindset as well and their experience, I tend to find it as an easier conversation for me to introduce concepts like the whole security championship. Like I'm running a security championship program in my company at the moment. We're trying to introduce some kind of software composition analysis tool in there. And it's really interesting. Yes, I know. It's really interesting how it kind of had to be trickled through because not everyone may see the value instantly. but you kind of have to find some folks. So you talk to your, I guess, whoever the team leader is to find out who these people are who are really passionate about security, because they all stand out. Every time they see a bad piece of code, they're the ones who are saying, nah, this is wrong. I cannot make this work this way. And I think, Tanya, you mentioned this in my podcast as well, but you were working with a few people and you kind of almost walked away from the job as well when they didn't like listen to what you were trying to say. So I know there are a lot of people like that in every company, and it's all about finding them and basically working with them to drive security initiatives. Because the reality is there is no company that I know of which has a big enough security team to serve the entire company. It is
Oh my gosh, that's so
not possible.
true.
So you have to work with them. Empathy again.
I want to make a t-shirt that says, I am the security team. Because like everywhere I've worked, it's like, hi, I'm the security team. And it's just me.
Yes, we have. That's the sad reality of our field. But hey, it's a great field. If you love laughing and want some fun, you get paid to find out bugs within the company. So it's perfect.
Yeah, I love our field. Okay,
Yes.
I need to ask the audience a very quick favor. If you are watching this, please click the thumbs up button if you are enjoying it. And if you are not already subscribed, please consider subscribing, because we have lots of other guests coming on in the future, which I will tell you about later. But for now, if you could just click the thumbs up button, that would be awesome. And now for the next question. It's a very tough question. What types of technical skills do you feel someone needs to do your job? And also, like, what types of training do you think could help get those? And I don't mean like name like this specific course. Like, obviously you're like, oh, Tanya, you should get her to teach you. But what I mean is like, what types of things do you need to learn to get your type of job?
Sure. And I'll definitely start. So something that I've been passionate about recently, and that's why the whole cloud security podcast and cloud security academy or whatever. But I think for me, I feel cloud skills has definitely become quite important for this kind of a role, because a lot of people are moving into cloud or they've already moved into the cloud. Like my current company is fully in cloud. We are in multiple clouds. That's becoming a new reality for a lot of people. So having an understanding of the security controls that can be available for you from the cloud provider, which are cloud native, or if they're not available, or to be able, I think, to be able to answer the right questions from the cloud provider, and when you're trying to secure your own cloud environment, that's probably number one technical skill. Unfortunately, there's no official training per se. That's why I'm trying to create one, or at least I have a beta program going on for one, because I couldn't find one which is officially saying that if you do this, you'll be secure, or this is why you would be. Actually, I do know someone. She's a common friend, Terry. She has a cloud security train that she runs. Another one that I can think of is Scott Piper. I had another guest on my show, Alexander. But I can count them in my fingers, basically. That's the number of people who have courses which are really out there talking about cloud security in a way that it should be done. So I would definitely say, as a skill, know about cloud. You don't have to be like a super expert, just know about cloud. You don't know about application security, because everyone's developing a product. And if you check out Alison Bobler on application security, it's a great starting point. Just a sweet plug in there. And I think I've kind of done Tanya's application security 101 version, which was the previous version. I've kind of gone through that course a bit. So it's very good to have that basic understanding, because you may not be the best developer, but when you do talk to a developer to get their respect, you kind of have to have some understanding of why someone should fix something. Or at least have enough of a technical understanding that you can explain it to someone. Now, granted, if you are a big team, you would have people who would do it, but I prefer knowing it myself as well. I guess the kind of nerd I am, I guess. But definitely two kind of skills I feel: product security, cloud, and SOC, which is incident response. Oh my God, if you have those three covered, risk and compliance is usually something which is already there, and you kind of have to call someone external for that anyway. So I always feel that you can always call someone from an external company to come and guide you on it. So you don't have to be an expert unless you're trying to be an auditor. Someone as a head of security, you just need to have a basic understanding of what do you need to comply by and what do you need to notify your executives on if you are in breach of. That's how I see that.
There is a question from the chat from Darpan. So how do you find a good balance of tech skills, cloud containers, Kubernetes, and certifications, and management and soft skills in order to be the head, like in the role of head of security?
Right. By the way, I know Darpan as well. Thanks, Darpan, for that question. Hi, Darpan. He's been my guest. Actually, both David and Darpan have been guests on my show previously. And great question as well. I think the way I find, so maybe it might help if I just kind of start with where I started. I started in the identity and access management field because I kind of thought that initially I thought pen testing would be super cool. I got into it, then I have to read a manual. I'm like, this is not for me. Nah, I just cannot read a manual for the life of me for 2 hours. So I backed out of that really quickly. And I started off with an internship in identity and access management, which is really fun because identity is the new king of cloud. So it works out in my favor. I can ask identity questions as well as cloud questions. But I kind of felt that I kind of had to go through the way I kind of planned for it, because I always wanted to get into this role. I've been on this trajectory for the last 6 years. I feel everything that I did was almost strategic to the point that I ticked off identity access management. And the previous company before this, I ticked off SOC. I knew about incident response. I knew why it was important. I spoke about risk with executives just to understand what that's like. I feel like you don't have to be an expert in one, but as you do something more, you kind of, and this is just me personally, I feel like in certain things I love being super detailed, but in some things I love just being superficial, just knowing enough that I can have a conversation, but I don't have to be an expert in it. That's how I've approached this. And it seems to have worked for me so far, where I've been able to go, or I started off with an identity access management, went into a consulting firm, which is probably, I normally recommend people go into a consulting space just because it gives you insight into so many different industries as part of your job, that you get to see, oh, this is how the media industry works, or this is how the telecom industry works. This is how, I don't know, something with an operation technology kind of technology, it works. A bank, like you get introduced so quickly to so many different things, and you get to talk to people and find out, oh, this is why SOC is important. Oh, this is why risk is important. And because a lot of these things, unfortunately, are not taught in uni, which unfortunately, they just tell you that this is how you do identity access management. This is how you do pen testing. Good luck. And next thing you know, you figure out yourself, wait, do I like pen testing? Or is it just the idea that I can hack something that I like?
I could not agree more with you. Also, they don't teach pen testing over where I'm from yet in school.
Oh, I mean, no, we don't have one. I only had one subject. I did a master's degree in information security because that's what it was called back then. But there was one subject in a semester for pen testing.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how do you do that? That you can't learn everything pen testing in one subject. So let's just say I thought it would be great. The more I spoke to the tutor who used to work for a bank back then, and he was saying, yeah, I mean, this is just not even scratching the surface. You basically ticked off one box in like a list of 30 items. Like, oh, great. So do I have to read the manual for all 30 of them? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, then I guess y'all don't want this. Thank you so much. I
like, peace
see
out.
you next semester. Yeah. See you guys.
Oh.
That was pretty much my call.
That's an awesome answer, though. That's A+. And also, I agree with like everything. So I would like to take this moment to thank our sponsor, ThreadFix. They are the most stupendous application security management platform in this part of the galaxy, or the whole galaxy. If you have done more exploring, you'll see that all the other galaxy vulnerability management platforms, not that great compared to ThreadFix, just so you know.
Elon Musk is just like, wait, there's another galaxy?
No, there's totally tons of galaxies. Come on, science nerds, let's do this.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say someone wants to get a job just like yours. They would like to one day be the head of security. So I want to ask, what type of learning path could they take to get there? And maybe what types of work experience you would suggest they try to get so that they could one day aim for where you are?
Sure. I would definitely, depending on the person, whether if they are already an auditor or they want to start. So there are kind of few, and I love how someone had once told me this: security is an inch deep and a mile wide, and you can.
Isn't that the
I probably
CISP?
would.
The CISP is an inch deep and a mile wide.
Oh, I thought it was like, but somewhere it came from. But I kind of like that because I feel it's like we have risk management where we talk about risk and governance. Then we have, so that's GRC. Then we have SOC. Then we have identity and access management. And then we have the whole network security. You can just keep adding layers. And I would say it's definitely not possible in one lifetime to go through everything. I'm pretty sure there are people out there, but I don't think I would have had the patience for it. So the way I chose the path was once I got into identity and access management, I knew if I wanted a leadership position, I would have to have some exposure to risk management. So I started looking for opportunities in risk management space. What that allows you to do is be more, I guess, have a conversation with an executive. Because no matter where you go, unless you're working in a cybersecurity company, no one else would want to know about cybersecurity. Unfortunately, you would have to be that person. To Tanya, your point, I am the security guy. The T-shirt. You kind of would have to walk around with that T-shirt. So like, oh, what is that? Like, just to generate some interest from people. They're like, there's this guy walks around with a security T-shirt. I don't know what he does. Like, I think it's kind of those ones. So you would find yourself, unless you want to be that guy who's in a basement somewhere. I mean, totally fine if you want to, but if you want to be out there, like, Tanya's got her hair purple. I've got just like this beard going with like a thing on my background. If you want to be out there and talking about like what you're really passionate about, you kind of have to be, you don't have to color your hair purple or make a portrait art for yourself, but you at least need to be able to go and explain to someone who probably has the money to support your initiatives that this is why this risk is important, or this is what the risk is. So I kind of choose that path. That was my second kind of entry. Okay, so I need to tick that box somewhere. And as I was going through that process, I kind of started getting involved with pen test activities. And I realized the importance of when talking about different vulnerabilities in a company, they don't understand cross-site scripting or cross-site request forgery. Like, what is that? Is that like a technology? Should I buy it? Like, no, you don't have to buy that. It just comes free for vulnerabilities in your software, I guess. So from that perspective, it's always an easier conversation to have with, easier to kind of have a conversation with risk. So I did identity access management, and I started doing risk, which introduced me to the concept of cloud, pen testing, and SOC. I dug deeper into the cloud space because I realized the moment I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is where people are going. Data center is going to be just basically left behind. And so I doubled down on it. Basically, for the next 5 years after that, I was primarily working in the risk and the cloud space. Any project that I could find, which was in cloud or about security in cloud or risk management, I'll just be all over that shit. Against that shit again. It's like an Australian.
Oh my gosh, now it's like your fourth time because then you apologize for saying shit.
Yes, I know. It's like probably should have a counter going the entire. Like if you were ever make like a short video, you just have like a counter going for the number of times I said shit, I guess. That would be fun video.
The editors can have a lot of fun. It's true.
That's right. Yes. Just so that they can like, why is this guy keep saying shit? But there you go, one more.
So I have a question, and then there's a question from the audience from Ahmed.
Yep.
So first, my question, because I'm the host and I can do that. So a thing that a lot of people want to know that they don't know how to ask is does your job pay well in your opinion? So like when I first realized that I'd made it, in my opinion, was when I went to the grocery store and I was like, I'm gonna buy cheese. And then there were two types of really fancy cheese that I really wanted. And then I realized, I'm like, I'm so rich, I can buy both. And so then I was like, I am upper middle class now. Look at me with my two types of cheese. And so, does your job
Well,
pay
haven't you seen my
well?
background? Like, clearly, I've got plenty of money hanging around everywhere. It's like I've got my own portrait. I've got everything going on for me. So, to answer your question, yes. And it's funny. One of the panels that I was part of for students, and we were talking about why should someone go into cybersecurity? Like, it pays well. Should bloody hell you should go into this. Like, why would you want to go for a job that doesn't pay you well? And especially if you're working, you might as well. But obviously, the range varies based on the organization you work for, but you definitely get to buy as many varieties of cheese as you want. You can actually go to the point of saying, actually, do I like the smelly cheese, whatever that cheese is called, or do I like the blue cheese, or do I like the French brie, or I'm not a cheese person, or I kind of am a cheese person. I don't mind goat cheese. It's probably my extent of exquisite cheese, I guess. But my wife is definitely into her cheese, I guess. Blue cheese is her favorite.
Oh, I love cheese. So there are a whole bunch of people in the chat that are saying, so every time you swear you have to buy a book, and then they've been counting. And so they said you have to buy 8 books.
Oh, okay. Wait, that's I have to be really careful now. It's going to be an expensive podcast episode for me.
Oh, okay. So the question from the chat is, what is a technical issue that you are currently struggling with in your job that is both frustrating and exciting? And I know that most security people have signed non-disclosure agreements. So try to think of one that you're allowed to share, and then give her.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. What's the name of the person who asked the question?
So it's Ahmed that asked it, and just so you know, giver is Canadian for like just go for it. As we say these
right. Okay,
things,
fair enough.
and then
So,
I
like, what's
realize,
the
oh, no
giver?
one knows what I mean.
Yeah. And so, I'm trying to think of a. So thanks for that question, Ahmed. It's a good question, and I'll probably say the problem that I'm dealing with right now, and probably exciting for me as well, is is cloud security, because I love the CSPM space. I don't know if you guys know much about CSPM, but cloud security posture management. And I love the space because it's equipped the security guys to come out and have some visibility on the cloud landscape that they have in the environment. And the challenge that I'm facing right now, and the challenge that I feel a lot of other security folks should be excited by as well, is kind of like taking a step back from CSPMs, which is just telling me that I'm compliant to CIS, I'm compliant to ISO, I'm compliant to blah, blah. Let's insert compliance degree here. They're not making me ask the right questions. They're not making me go, should this really be public or should this be private? What's the architecture like? Like, I mean, if I were to walk into an organization and I just buy CSPM, probably great move, because you get instant satisfaction that, yes, I've got coverage across all my cloud. But what it doesn't do really well is something asset management, like digital asset management, to be precise. A lot of people still have Excel spreadsheets as asset registers. And I feel we live in the 20th century or 21st century, whatever century we are in. It's surprising when Azure, Google Cloud, and all these other people they haven't thought about the fact that we should probably, and these, by the way, there are great solutions out there for this already. So I'm not trying to create something new over here. I find it really interesting how we don't go into that conversation. So for me, cloud security would kind of like, okay, let's talk about assets first, and what do we have, so I can at least talk about CSPM. And I think it's not the fault of the CSPM as well. It's actually the right way to go forward, because you want to know instantly what's wrong. You don't want to like, I'm just going to do this fluffy asset management because it's my compliance requirement or whatever. And I think that's been really interesting challenge. And I feel it's something probably not the market is ready for at this point in time, because there's not enough maturity for cloud security yet. But I definitely see it coming. So that's a challenge that I'm excited by. But I also do know that it's not right now that people are okay with it. People are going to be okay with it in, say, 3 years or 4 years when they can start. Everyone would be asking for it. And then there is like, I'm sure there'll be like an amazing product that would come out and solve that problem.
So the audience noticed that when you were talking about asset management being tracked in Microsoft Excel, so Ahmed was commenting, so when you're nodding your head so hard, Tanya, during the Excel asset management, that's pretty awesome. But it's so true. It's so true. And it's very frustrating. And I feel like the cloud providers, lots of them have provided these really amazing tools, some of which are free. Like if you're paying to subscribe, it's part of the subscription cost, right? And I'm just like, turn them all on. If it is not an extra cost, if it does security, turn it on, please. Yeah. I give workshops and training on Azure Cloud Security, so I'm just like, please turn it on. Okay. So I have another question, but first I'm supposed to tell everyone we just released a new course at wehackpurple.com, so please check that out. Marketing complete. So what do you like the best about your job, and what do you like the least about your job?
I think the best part about my job is to be able to work across different areas every week. As I was saying earlier about the Monday planning day and the Sunday night planning days, I love that part because I guess this is probably the COVID thing as well, but I'm actually a lot grateful that I get to work in such different spaces within security. And I feel a lot, I definitely feel grateful for that opportunity. So that's what I love the most. I am solving a different problem. Sometimes it's a human problem that I'm trying to solve, but sometimes a technology problem that I'm trying to solve. And the least favorite part is, actually, which is slowly turning into a good part, is talking about budget to vendors. Initially, I used to be like, I would not be comfortable talking about money, but the more I've kind of matured, I'm like, I actually enjoy this. Now I'm like, I would bargain for $1 now. Like, so I kind of I probably didn't answer the question directly, but I think like I started hating it initially, but now I've kind of gone, I kind of enjoy this. I should do more of this. Can I have more budget so I don't want anything more, but I just want to be able to talk to a vendor so I can, just grill them for a bit. This is not a good price. Give me a better price. You should do better.
You know what? I love haggling because in Canada we don't do it, but when I travel, even if I know I can afford the price, I'm like, no, I want to haggle. And so now my company, we're always having people try to haggle with us, and I'm like, yeah, let's haggle. This is going to be awesome. Yep. And it's sort of like fun.
I think so as well. And some people I know, they would particularly hate it. They just want to pay the money and walk away. But I'm like, but how often do you get to have this conversation? It's like, you're not haggling at McDonald's, but I think
they get unimpressed. They're like, Tanya, get out of here. Stop your haggling.
Yeah, it's like wait, so you want to haggle for a $2 burger, and $2 Happy Meal? You don't really want me to be happy, do you? I think my favorite one has been so far where I went to a cafe and I asked for a discount, and she said, "Oh, do you work in this building?" I'm like, "Yeah. I do." I was like, "Oh, okay then." I did not know this, but apparently people who work in that building, if they order coffee from that place, they get like $1 cheaper. And from that day onwards, every morning when I would walk to the office, this is when I was walking to the office, I would go past that, yes, and they remember me, remember my name, they think I work in the building. I wasn't really cheating per se, but I mean, it's kind of like what I felt like, but I did tell them one day that, look, I don't work here. Then she's like, it's not my money anyways, so it's not the owner. I'm like, okay, cool. If you don't mind, I don't mind. Let's just continue keeping that secret, which is out in the public now. I can talk about it because we're in COVID times, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to the city anytime soon for that coffee.
I love it. Okay, so we just have a few questions left. So if someone wants a role like your role, and they're like, she seems awesome, I want to have a job like him, what advice would you give them to try to get there? Like, maybe an actionable step or two?
Sure. I will definitely start with knowledge of cloud first. And I feel the reason I say knowledge of cloud as a actionable step is because the more you expose yourself to, I guess, going into a role where you're working for a tech or a product company, um, it would kind of become obvious that a lot of people are expecting security to be technical. Not technical in the context that you're writing code, but technically in the context that you would understand the network of a cloud environment. You would understand the nuances of a cloud environment. You don't have to be able to just do a full DevOps pipeline and like, I mean, if you do that, it's awesome. Like I can do it, but that doesn't mean that I would do it every day. It's just not my thing. Like if I were to tell someone, I would probably prefer the security aspects of it. So how to design it and maybe some nuances. I write really bad. I was gonna say shit, but I didn't. But I say it again. I write really bad Python code, so I would not even put myself in that bucket. But I think I feel that knowing cloud is probably a great practical skill to have if you're trying to get into a product space as well. Just because it's for me, if I were to look for a replacement, for example, anyone who's listening right now, and if I were to look for a replacement for myself, my absolute important would definitely be more than risk and compliance would be some knowledge of cloud, because it's so much in there, and a lot of the conversation that I'm having with people is around the nuances of cloud or a particular cloud provider. You can pick any; it doesn't have to be. You have to be only AWS or you don't have to know all three. I feel it's a bit unrealistic to know all three. Although Darpan, who's listening to it, he's done all three. He's done Oracle Cloud as well, so he's amazing like that. But I feel like that's definitely a rare breed. It's not everyone who can go all cloud, because it's almost like knowing, I don't know, if you're knowing something PHP, like a really good at PHP, and then you're really good at Java, and then you're really good at Python. You're like, that's just not the case. At least I haven't met someone like that. I feel that's the same case with cloud as well. You do one really well, and you're able to transfer most of the skills from that into the other one that you learn. So that would be my actionable advice. Get some knowledge in cloud. Learn some empathy. Give some hugs.
Security hugs. That's right.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, and another mug. Get your security hugs here. We hack purple.
Oh, yes. That's right. Yes.
Basically, I'm gonna go over this episode and steal everything you said and then make mugs out of it, and then I'm gonna make hundreds of dollars. Hundreds.
You can feel free to use that picture over there.
Okay, I have two more questions before we say goodbye. And then at the end, I'm going to read some reviews of the podcast because, so obviously everyone listening has subscribed to the podcast, but maybe they haven't reviewed it yet. Did you know that I believe in bribery? And if you review our podcast and then you send us a link to your review, we will mail you, physical mail, cute stickers. That's right. I'm so not above bribery. I'm below bribery. I don't know. I'm okay with it in regards to stickers and podcast reviews. But before I read them to you, oh no, someone says you have to buy me some cheese.
Oh.
That would be too expensive. We can't afford the cheese. Okay, so I have two questions. So the first one is, do you do things outside of InfoSec? Outside of your 9-to-5 job, and I guess probably your podcast, but first of all, do you want to just give a pitch for your podcast and then tell us another thing that you do outside of your 9-to-5?
Yeah, sure. So Cloud Security Podcast started in Jan 2020, and on the podcast, it's a weekly podcast, live streams every week on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope, and each week, we basically talk to a cloud practitioner about different topics. So the topics may range from application security, DevSecOps, cloud security, infrastructure security, and chaos engineering. Who would have thought I would talk about chaos engineering as a thing that, and threat intelligence is another one that we've covered. So yeah, if you are someone who probably is interested in that field, you don't have to be an expert. You might be someone who just wants to get into the field and just are curious about what that field is. We have a lot of episodes where we talk about some of the basics on where you can start around what kind of questions you should be asking. And some episodes we go really, I guess, quite deep as well to go into a bit more deeper understanding of what something, I guess, if you want to secure something in cloud, what you should be doing. You can follow that all on www.cloudsecuritypodcast.tv. And yeah, that's kind of where most of my 9 to 5 is. But sorry, most of my post 9 to 5 is. Outside of that, I'm massively into, I guess, men's fashion, and that's why Tanya commented about the hair, and like I blow dry my beard, like to the point that like I did not realize the investment that I'm taking on with my COVID beard, that I have to blow dry not just my top hair but also my beard. So that's something that I do outside my 9 to 5, which is Google how to maintain a good looking beard. That's pretty much what I do.
I love your beard. You look great. I mean, you look great without a beard as well, but your beard's looking awesome. Trust me, I've seen some pretty scary looking rugged COVID beards. And not rugged like they're outside doing things, like rugged like I don't take care of myself.
I'm going to pass this to my wife as well. He's someone else I also appreciate about the fact that I'm maintaining, because she's like, why do you spend 15 minutes on your beard? Like, then you just like, I'm like, it takes time, honey. Like, all the hair transplant. Yes, so that's something else that I do outside my 9 to 5.
I was thinking of putting on a nicer t-shirt. I just like wore a GitHub t-shirt, but I was like, I should change because Ashish is going to be there. But
well, I mean, I got my Cloud Security Podcast t-shirt, so
yes. Oh, that's such a good shirt. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, thank you. I just like had to be bright. So like you can thank the wife for the design. She's a creative one.
Oh, really? It's good. I like it. I also shared a link to it because we want people.
Oh, thank you.
Well, but of course. Okay, so the last question, and then we say our goodbye, and then I will read podcast reviews, and hopefully they will say nice things. Someone says, tell her that you are representing her, so you have to maintain the beard and look good. And also that you are the best dressed cloud security consultant all round.
Oh, in this galaxy.
In this part of the galaxy. So, like, we haven't checked the other parts yet, so you better hold your breath.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like, I was going to say in every galaxy, but then I realized, there are other galaxies as well. It's like, yeah, maybe in this galaxy. Let's go with that. There's another Ashish in another galaxy who's probably like blow drying his beard right now.
And he's like, I'll get that, Ashish. I'll show him.
Yeah, that's right. I'll get rid of I'll straighten all the curls.
Okay, so the last question, because people probably were like, okay, this guy's awesome. I need to follow him. So where can they find you? Do you have a website or an event coming up or any links or anything that you want to promote?
Sure. So I usually hang mostly on LinkedIn just because that's where the live stream happens. But the second place that I hang out is just Ashish Rajan over there. The second place that I hang out at is on Twitter. But if you're not looking for, I guess, you're looking for episodes from me, you can probably go to my YouTube channel. Everything can be seen on www.ashishrajan.com, including my artwork if you want to buy that. I've made it a point. So apparently on my Patreon program, someone wanted my a picture of this on my on a mug. I'm like, sure, I'll give you this on a mug. So if you want a mug with that picture, I can totally make it happen on my Patreon program. But sure, that's kind of where you guys can find me. Just go to ashishrajan.com.
Oh, I'm giggling and I'm muting at the same time, so that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm just sharing it on the screen so that everyone can see it and everyone in the chat can see it, and it will be permanently there. I just found your website and it is wonderful. Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I feel like the time passed so fast. So like the time was very slow while we were technical troubleshooting and we were trying to connect. I felt that was about 4 weeks. And then the time once we started, it's like it super sped and then it was like only a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know we got there eventually though. I think I probably we should tell the audience we were just gonna act cool if it worked in the first 5 minutes. We're like, totally, we were just doing celebrity entry. We were just coming late. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. We're just like fashion, cool, showing up late, Because we don't
That's right.
respect our audience. No, that's not true.
Like that was us 5 minutes into it. 10 minutes into it, you're like, oh shit, this is gonna take a while. Like that just went down very quickly.
You have now reached double digits of books you have to buy.
That's right. So we're gonna have to be like, cannot pretend to be fashionistas anymore. Gonna have to make this work. They put the nerd hat on.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, thank you so much for being on the show, my friend. I am going to now do the wrap up. So goodbye, and I'll see you next time, probably on your podcast. Okay.
100%.
For now,
anyone who's listening, buy her book. Just saying, buy her book.
Yes.
You should listen to me. If you're listening to me, you should really listen to her as well. So just go to Alison Bob. Learn about application security. That's it.
And then
all right, Tanya, thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. And everyone subscribe to his podcast too.
Thank you. All right, bye. See ya.
Okay, so now I'm going to read to you, first of all, tell you who's coming up next. So up next, we are going to have on this podcast, Mary Moe. That is the woman who hacked her own heart. And she is going to be on at a very special time. If you want to catch the live show, it's going to be Tuesday, September 29th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. The reason for this is she lives in another country and her time zone was really weird. And obviously I wanted to have the woman that hacked her own heart. And then next Thursday at this exact time, we are going to have Juliet Okafor, and she is the CEO of a cybersecurity company, and she's also ridiculously funny and charming. I saw her be the host last year for the Women's Cyber Jitsu Awards, and I was just like, you're amazing, and can I please be your friend? And then she wasn't weirded out and didn't run away. So then I asked her if she would be on the show, and she said yes. The following week, we will have Tracy Martin. She is the founder of DefendCon, a super awesome conference that I was on, and that is October 8th. And she's a principal security engineer for IoT. And so that's pretty cool. And then the week after that, October 15th, we're having Katie Paxton Fear, and she's going to talk about, first of all, what it's like to be a PhD student, because that is wicked hard, and then also how to be a bug hunter. And the week after that, we have Dominic West, and she's going to talk about what it's like to be a cloud security consultant. You might know her from Security in Color. It's a podcast. Also, there's a website, and there's a Twitter feed, and there's all sorts of cool stuff around her. And we have a whole bunch more guests coming up, and you can find out about all of them at wehackpurple.com/podcast.html. Yeah, that's right, old school.html. Now I'm going to read for you just a couple of the podcast reviews in hopes that you think that maybe you want to review a podcast too. So the first one is from NavS15 from India. It said, a podcast I wanted. The name She Hacks Purple in InfoSec community is well known, and probably we are all waiting for insights from Tanya and some other great folks. And I was happy to hear from Melissa, the queen of code. Knowledge from the people who make AppSec interesting is great. Looking forward for more amazing content. Thank you so much. Another one just says #WeHackPurple, and it's from BRD from the Netherlands. Thank you. Another one from Raycan from the United States. Awesome career advice. Tanya is well known in the industry and really good at what she does. The director of strategy is a tough role. That was Mario Platt. And it's a tough role to get into. There were great insights into the role and expectations. Highly recommend this and future podcasts. Another one from Abhivad from India. So one of the best InfoSec podcasts. Tanya certainly knows how to make learning fun. This podcast is an amazing place to get going. And if you're a beginner, you should definitely give it a try. Thank you. Thank you. We have another person, SF Hummingbird. It says, amazing. If anyone's looking to get into the field or want to move upwards, this podcast is for you. Tanya Janca is such a great influencer when it comes to sharing knowledge and connecting folks to mentors. Thankful this podcast exists for the security community. And the last one, Xander from India, great podcast for those who want to get into InfoSec. I definitely recommend these I definitely recommend these to all of the InfoSecers out there. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it when you give us reviews. Thank you. And like I said, if you send us a screenshot and a mailing list or a mailing address, we'll actually send you a real live sticker to say thank you so much. I really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you again to our amazing sponsor, ThreadFix, who has sponsored most of the rest of the entire year. I can't tell you how appreciative we are. I appreciate the guests. And again, I'm Tanya Janca. Thank you so much for joining the We Hack Purple podcast.